Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Unscripted and Unchained RPG review. I am Castlekeeper Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video I am giving a shout out to Trollord Games. So Trollord Games is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, and so 25 years of OSR excellence, as I claim, and just the other day, yesterday, or possibly the day before, I finally got my physical copy of the 2024 reprinting of the 2004 first printing of Castles and Crusades Player's Handbook. So I am holding it here, and it came along with a patch, which I've already had a patch. I had bought a patch separately because they're just so cool that I absolutely wanted another one, but I'm going to switch views here so that you can see what I'm talking about. So here is the 25th anniversary patch. So 1999 to 2024. And you can see the other one behind me there with the Castles and Crusades white box, and so here is the reprint of the book, and it is it's really good to get my hands on this. And when you purchase these from their website, they'll also come signed, right? So this is signed by David Chenault, by Mac Golden, and by Stephen Chenault. So all signed there, and then there is a special dedication in here, in the acknowledgments. All right, and I don't know if it's on the original PDF, which I'm going to show you as well, and just do a brief run through of it. But I just wanted to read this because there's always this reoccurring theme lately of really downgrading the contributions of Gary Gygax and or Dave Arneson or any of those other legacy creators of our hobby. And so that's something that Trollord Games constantly reminds us of, how much they celebrate the people that came before us. And here we go. We offer this book as an ode to the years of fun in game and play, and to the creative might and best of friendships bound within the very person of E. Gary Gygax, for whom none of what came before, nor any that must come after, would be possible. Thank you, Gary. So, once again, another, really classy and honorable way to show recognition to Gary Gygax, who actually worked with them, in whether it be as a consultant or what have you, in the last years of Gary Gygax's life. So this was the last game system that Gary Gygax contributed to, and so Castles and Crusades for the last 25 years has been the true banner carrier of Gary Gygax's legacy. And so having left Dungeons and Dragons behind, which he was forced to do, he lived on with every new printing of Castles and Crusades. So really excited about that. They had a recent Kickstarter where they are coming out with new printings of the core 3 Castles and Crusades books, and those books are going to be stripped of the former OGL, so they don't need that OGL any longer. And they've changed some of the nomenclature found within their game system, but they didn't have to change any of the game rules itself. And that's something as well that Castles and Crusades has been known for, is the fact that it has never had new editions. It's always been new printings. And with those new printings usually comes additional art, some modifications of formatting and layout, and or different ways of presenting the information, with very, very few, if any, major rule changes, and only some minor tweaks and everything. But the core of the system, or even beyond just the core of the system, the game system works and plays as well as it did in 1999, and all the way up for 2024 and 2025 and into the future. So without further ado, I'm going to just give you a very quick look at what you will find in here, and just hit on some of the key components of this phenomenal game system. So here we have the book, and like I said, it's a this is the original PDF. So as you can see, it's the 2004, and here is the same acknowledgement for Gary Gygax. Now the new one actually has a notation that says the 2024 reprint of the first printing. So the PDF is the first printing, and just want to focus on a few things here so that you can kind of get a sense of the game system itself. All right, so you have creating a character and attributes, and the attributes are still very much the same that you find in Dungeons and Dragons. Now this is in 2024, so I believe, this is 2004, so this was pre 3.5. So this was before 3.5, and it is certainly after or around the same time as D&D 3.0. So here we have the general attribute scores, but then the primary and secondary attributes is the siege system. All right, and so almost all of the skills involved and character traits and such are all tied to whether or not your attribute score is a primary score for you or a secondary score for you. We have the character classes of fighter, ranger, rogue, assassin. So it adopts the terminology of rogue from AD&D 2nd edition, but reintroduces assassin, which was removed in 2nd edition. Barbarian, monk, and monks are very much different in Castles and Crusades than they were in AD&D 1st edition, for example. Wizard, illusionist, cleric, druid, knight, paladin, and bard. So you don't have cavaliers here, you have knights. The races are just the core legacy races. So dwarf, elf, gnome, half elf, halfling, half orc, and human. And it's pretty solid with just those, to be honest with you. I don't think that any fantasy tabletop role-playing game needs anything other than those. Completing your character, you're going to deal with persona and alignment and choosing deities and so on and so forth. The magic system has both its Vancian magic system with spell slots and such. However, it does have optional rules to use a mana point system, which I've actually adopted as well. So so you do have some options, and I would probably still tweak it even further, just for simplicity of gameplay. I'm a big fan of the way that Shadow Dark does its spell system as well, which has influences from dungeon crawl classics with spell misfires and such, which actually makes it pretty interesting. So I enjoy modifying and homebrewing certain elements of any tabletop role-playing game I am running. Continuing on, I mean, there is combat, as you can see here, and there is non-lethal and multiple action combats. You have unarmed combat and grappling and pummeling and overbearing and touch attacks. I do want to really focus on this when I do take a look at this in its first printing, because it's the closest to AD&D first edition, when grappling really was a very complicated thing in AD&D first edition. So I'm going to probably look at these two side by side and see how they compare between AD&D first edition and Castles and Crusades first printing. So that will be a future video that I do, probably sometime within the next 2 weeks or so. And so on and so forth. And as you can see, this one still obviously still has the OGL in it. This is the a reprint of the first printing, so that will be there. But looking through it and everything, even the OGL back here, I'm wondering if the OGL, just to take a look, if it is, yeah, derived from the 3.0 system. So yeah, this is prior to 3.5. So good to see that, you know. And then this is some of the things, other fantasy role-playing games and accessories. So for Castles and Crusades, they have all of these here. Monsters and Treasures is basically the monster manual, including the treasure tables and such. The Castle Keeper's Guide is actually not needed to run the game at all. You know, to run the game, even if you are a castle keeper, but it really is a nice thing to have. Same thing with the Castle Keeper's screen. Collector's dice. I didn't realize that there was a set of 6 old dice, complete with crayon. All right, so they must have had originally, you know, very old school dice sets with that. Oh, I'll have to look into trying to get a hold of those. Now, the Gary Gygax's Castle Zadig is currently being reprinted by Trollord Games. So they've already released Igsburg Castle Zadig Volume 1. The rest will be coming, you know, probably within the next year or so. So I'm really looking forward to completing my series of Gary Gygax's world building and all of those things, because those are, and these are currently in, they've actually wrapped up their Kickstarter on these, and I have backed these, and I'm picking up most of these that are here, and then there were probably about 4 others included in this whole selection here. So that's something else that I'm also waiting on as far as Kickstarter from Trollord Games. So really excited about this stuff. It was really nice to, you know, finally get the hardcover in my hand, and now I can, you know, just read through it and look for those any of those differences between the first printing of Castles and Crusades, and really make that comparison to AD&D First Edition or Third Edition, which I don't have. I don't have Dungeons and Dragons Third Edition any longer. I had sold that off. So all I have, the only Wizards of the Coast I still have is 3.5. But I'll make the comparison between this and 3.5 along with AD&D First Edition, and see where they kind of match up. So that would be an interesting thing to take a look at. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and you can still get this from the Troll Lord Games website. So I highly recommend that you check it out so that you can see one of the earliest, if not the earliest, OSR game system that was produced. And again, this is 2004, so it really was at the very forefront of the OSR movement. And this does not fall. Castles and Crusades, in my opinion, and utilizing my definition, this is so dramatically different in the game system itself, the siege engine that it uses for character creation and character activity in within the game system, that it is so different that it's not an old school Renaissance. It's not borrowing from D&D. It's really almost on the verge of being an independent game system, but at the same time still having an old school feel to it, and an old school focus on role playing as well. And Castles and Crusades, if you look at its its world setting of Aired, the level of complexity that is written into its world setting, if you are going to use its official world setting, is far more in depth than anything that TSR had produced as far as world building is concerned. And that probably had a lot of influence from Gary Gygax himself, who was really the master of world building. So we'll be really excited to see how this first printing does match up with some of the other systems, and I will certainly compare it to the newest printing of Castles and Crusades once that is released sometime next year. So, as always, thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed this video. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and as always, I look forward to seeing you at the gaming table sometime soon or on screen. I am currently running a Castles and Crusades campaign. Unfortunately, it's full, so I don't have room for any new players in that one. But I am looking to do some one-shots here and there. My gameplay, other than my Tuesday nights throughout the summertime, is going to be really quite sporadic. But, I will try to squeeze in some one-shots during the summertime, and then beginning in September, I will start going through my cycle of conventions, and the next one will be the last week of September, and that will be at ShireCon in Connecticut. So really looking forward to that, and then moving forward, the next one that I at least have scheduled is in January, so 2025, and that will be at the Philadelphia Area Game Expo. So that is page 2. I am a special guest to that convention, so really excited and shocked that I was invited to as a special guest, but I'm so appreciative of it as well. So I'm super stoked at going there. I'll be running 4 games while I am there, and I will talk a little bit more about those as I get closer to around September or so, and then I'll really start pitching those game sessions. Although I believe that games start to be opened up for gold ticket holders to start signing up for games as of August 1st. So right around the corner for that. And then I'll be able to start signing up for games by the 15th, I believe. So you'll have about a 2-week window if you are a gold carrier for the badge there. You'll have about a 2-week window to have exclusively your access to the games that are being offered. So As always, thanks for joining. If you hadn't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like and share, and absolutely leave your comments. If you have been involved with Castles and Crusades from the very, very beginning, I would love to have a chat with you. And especially if you've been following it through these last 25 years, and I would love to hear, your experience with the various printings of the game as well. So, as always, take care, and everyone be safe out there and enjoy your weekend.